Manhattan's golden boy got drugged at a party, and I accidentally became his remedy for the night. Turns out, I'm ridiculously fertile. One encounter, one miracle. When this trust fund prince tracked me down later, my best friend immediately pushed for an abortion, lecturing me about not selling my dignity for money. I was about to argue when a tiny voice inside me, the one from the little bundle I was carrying, spoke up. Damn. Here we go again with this nightmare of a beginning. My past life mom listened to that toxic friend, rejected a $50 million offer, ended up starving and freezing, and eventually got burned alive by dad's childhood sweetheart.
Wait.
Did that prince just offer me $50 million? You should have mentioned that sooner. If you're just going to be some rich man's breeding tool, what's the difference between you and a chicken? My friend snapped. The baby immediately chimed in. Only an idiot like my mom would listen to that nonsense and kick dad out before he even had a chance to pay up. Her voice was adorably sharp. I shoved my nagging friend aside and hurried Ethan Ashford inside. Mr. Ashford, what solution did you mean earlier? Ethan remained impassive, sliding a check across the table. $50 million for prenatal care. Deliver a healthy baby and another $50 million as compensation. My friend turned bright red with jealousy. Sophie Sullivan, don't let him humiliate you with money. I looked at the check, swallowing hard. My parents were honest farmers who had borrowed every penny to put me through college. Humiliation from $50 million? That was basically ancestral approval from the grave. Why would I refuse? In this life, I accepted without hesitation. Mr. Ashford, I'll keep everything confidential and ensure the baby is delivered safely to the Ashford family. The baby seemed stunned. Did my mom finally grow a brain? Dad's sperm isn't exactly top-notch. Plus, grandfather Ashford favors girls. Cooperate, and we're practically guaranteed a life of luxury. My friend sputtered in disbelief. Sophie Sullivan, have you no shame? Selling yourself for money. I held the check close, standing my ground. This is my child.
Of course I'll have it.
Who wouldn't want their kid to have a good life? When my friend lunged, the bodyguards intervened. Ethan glanced at her with disgust. This kind of friend? Keep your distance. The baby cheered quietly. Go, Dad. Too bad Mom's brain is full of water. I smiled and nodded obediently. I'll move out tomorrow and cut off all toxic influences for the baby's sake. Seeing Ethan satisfied, I cautiously asked, could I rent a place nearby? So the Ashfords can monitor the baby's growth. He surveyed my cramped apartment and frowned before looking at my belly. Move to the villa next door. Convenient for my mother to visit regularly. He leaned against the doorway, waiting patiently. His presence made my heart race. Touching my belly, I promised myself, this time, my daughter would be fed, clothed, and spoiled with happiness. That afternoon, I moved into the luxurious villa with my modest belongings. Ethan instructed, visit the designated hospital weekly. The best medical team will care for you. Lying on a bed worth more than a house, I pinched myself. This wasn't a dream. I could just eat, sleep, and relax. The baby wasn't impressed. I thought Mom finally got smart, but she still has no foresight. Eat too much, get fat, get judged by the Ashfords and mocked by Dad's ex. Let's see how she cries then. Her ambition spurred me on. I immediately signed up for prenatal yoga and fitness programs, hired a nutritionist, and planned every meal. Strengthen my body, lose weight scientifically, and upgrade my style. I had money now, so I hired celebrity stylists and makeup artists. The baby cooperated perfectly, sleeping when I slept, moving when I moved. No usual pregnancy discomforts, and my complexion improved daily. 2 weeks later, Ethan visited. His eyes lit up subtly, but he quickly masked it with a frown. What happened between us was an accident. Deliver the baby safely. Nothing else. The baby snorted.
Ha.
Dad's first woman clearly made him flustered. I smiled calmly. Mr. Ashford is overthinking. I just don't want to embarrass my child. Ethan looked at me deeply, a mix of doubt and appreciation in his eyes. Before he could respond, cheerful laughter came from behind. I just spoke to the hospital. Fetal development is perfect and the mother is in excellent health, said Mrs. Catherine Ashford, beaming. She slipped a gold bracelet into my hand. My husband, father-in-law, and son were all IVF babies. Deliver a healthy child naturally for the Ashfords, and you'll be well treated. The baby squealed excitedly. My good grandma. Dad might misunderstand Mom, but Grandma's always been kind. I blushed, awkwardly holding Mrs. Ashford's hand. Even without gifts, I'll take responsibility for my child. Mr. Ashford has provided everything already. Mrs. Ashford insisted on putting the bracelet on me. So polite and educated. Your child is blessed. I hugged her warmly. Having such a grandmother is the baby's luck. Even if I must give her to you, I'll rest easy knowing she's safe. Mrs. Ashford's eyes glimmered with emotion. You'll always be the mother. You can see her anytime. Ethan cleared his throat. I never said you couldn't. From now on, you have full access to the Ashford residence. He hesitated, then patted my back gently. Seeing my daughter secure both a loving grandmother and access to the Ashford family, she whispered in awe. How did Mom suddenly get so smart? According to my little milk dumpling, in my past life I had repeatedly rejected the Ashfords and called them greedy capitalists. That left Mrs. Ashford disliking me, and she had brought Madison Pierce back to challenge me. This time, I had a different approach. Make life easy for the Ashfords. Mrs. Ashford genuinely enjoyed my company, so who had time to meddle with a childhood rival? She started accompanying me to every prenatal checkup, and my little milk dumpling was a perfect patient. During each ultrasound, she positioned herself just right and waved her tiny arms to greet Grandma. The doctors couldn't stop praising her. This baby is a true blessing. Perfect position. Mom should have an easy delivery. Waving hello from the womb? That's intelligence already. She'll be exceptional. After each appointment, Mrs. Ashford treated me to shopping sprees, buying everything in sight. My little milk dumpling warned me that my toxic friend was plotting to frame me for drugging Ethan out of jealousy. To prevent any issues, I made sure to emphasize to Mrs. Ashford. We need to find whoever drugged Mr. Ashford. I'm worried it could happen again. The Ashford matriarch admired my concern for Ethan even more. With her guidance, I developed a sophisticated, wealthy aura, so much so that my own parents barely recognized me. What was supposed to be a secret pregnancy quickly became public knowledge. Manhattan's elite buzzed with news that Ethan Ashford was getting married and having a baby. Rumors about his infertility vanished. Ethan didn't comment, but he started visiting more often. One day, he found me making soup. He lingered silently, watching me, and I ladled a bowl for him. If you like, try some. Light should suit your taste. Ethan tasted it eagerly, eyes lighting up in a way that made me grin. That $200,000 private cooking class had definitely paid off. Visits became more frequent. The baby, while keeping me fit, daydreamed about the future. As long as that childhood rival doesn't fight back, Mom can totally secure Dad. Of course, life had a way of proving her right. Just as I was heading out, a woman dripping in designer labels blocked my path, looking down at me with pure disdain. You're the slut who slept with Ethan Ashford? Before I could react, my little milk dumpling sounded an alarm. We're screwed. Madison Pierce is here. Despite the panic rising in my chest, I didn't let her play the victim. Clutching my belly, I stepped back. Do whatever you must, but don't harm Ethan's child. Madison's anger flared. She slapped me and threw a stack of photos into my face. Stop acting. I've got all your schemes figured out. According to my daughter's memories, Madison had always been a pitiful, sly manipulator, only daring to act when unseen. But now, seeing me rise in status, she dropped the pretense. I gasped and knelt dramatically, biting my lip. I don't know what I did to offend you, but if hitting me helps, go ahead. Madison raised her hand, but the slap never landed. Ethan's furious voice rang out. Madison Pierce, what do you think you're doing? He shoved her away, shielding me protectively. Madison fumed. You're yelling at me for her? Ethan ignored her and examined the red mark on my cheek. You were frightened. Madison went ballistic, trying to justify herself. I rushed back to protect you from a setup. This was all Sophie Sullivan's scheme to marry into the Ashfords. My heart sank. Was I destined to be falsely accused? Sweating, clutching my clothes, I stammered. The baby is 6 months along. We can do an amniocentesis and a paternity test. I'll prove everything, and after that, I'll stay away from the Ashfords and you, Miss Pierce. My display of tears and humility tugged at Ethan's heart. Madison seethed but could do nothing as he carried me to the hospital. The paternity test sent the entire Ashford family into action. Even grandfather William Ashford arrived overnight, furiously scolding Ethan. I stood firm. Grandfather, it's my idea, not Ethan's. The test will end all rumors. Mrs. Ashford wept, worried. When has our family ever feared gossip? 6-month amniocentesis is risky. Son, why didn't you defend Sophie? Her words stung Ethan with guilt. Before I passed out from exhaustion, I heard my daughter giggle. Hee hee, this round of groveling is all mine. The paternity test was scheduled for the following morning, but sleep refused me. I tossed and turned, nerves fraying at every minute. My little milk dumpling seemed to sense it and nudged me gently from inside.
Mom, relax.
I'm definitely Dad's daughter. The test will prove it. But play it right, look pitiful enough, and Dad will feel guilty. Grandma will tear that childhood rival apart. I touched my belly, grateful. Already, before even being born, my daughter was helping me strategize. The next morning, Madison arrived at the hospital, smug and self-assured, clearly expecting to expose me. Reporters followed her like flies, ready to witness my humiliation. Mrs. Ashford's face turned icy. Madison Pierce, you've gone too far this time. I gently held Mrs. Ashford's hand. It's fine. Let her bring whoever she wants. The truth will speak for itself. Madison's confident smile faltered slightly. Inside the examination room, my little milk dumpling groaned. This amniocentesis is going to hurt. Mom, make Dad pay for this later. In my past life, you refused anesthesia to prove your innocence. You almost lost me. I winced, remembering the past. No more mistakes. When the doctor asked if I wanted anesthesia, I nodded immediately. Yes, please. I want to protect my baby. Ethan, who had been quietly standing in the corner, stepped forward. Use the best anesthesia. Money is no object. She should not suffer. His unexpected gentleness made tears sting my eyes. Madison's face twisted with jealousy. Ethan, you've never treated me like this. Ethan didn't even look at her. That's because you never carried my child. The procedure went smoothly. I felt no pain under anesthesia. When I awoke, I deliberately moaned softly, clutching my belly. Ethan immediately rushed over, worry etched on his face. Does it hurt? Should I call the doctor? I shook my head weakly. I'm fine. As long as the baby's safe, it's worth any pain. My little milk dumpling snickered. Nice acting, Mom. Dad's guilt meter is maxed out. Mrs. Ashford wiped away tears, glaring at Ethan. This is all your fault for not trusting Sophie from the start. Even Grandfather Ashford, who had arrived in the meantime, smacked Ethan with his cane. Foolish boy. A good woman willing to bear your child, and you let that Pierce girl bully her. Ethan accepted the scolding silently, never breaking eye contact with me. The results would take 48 hours. During that time, Ethan barely left my side. He fed me meals personally, adjusted my pillows, and even read pregnancy books to better understand how to care for me. My little milk dumpling was impressed. Wow. Dad's going all out. Even without the test, he's already falling for you. On the second day, Madison could no longer hold back and stormed into my room. Don't get too comfortable. When the results show he's not the father, you'll be thrown out like trash. I remained calm. Miss Pierce, aren't you afraid of being wrong? Her confidence wavered for just a moment before she sneered. Impossible. I investigated everything. She's a scheming woman. Just then, Ethan walked in carrying a bowl of soup. His expression turned icy as he faced Madison.
Leave.
You're not welcome here. Madison's eyes reddened. Ethan, I came back from abroad to protect you. He set the soup down, looking at her with disappointment. I once thought you were kind. Now I see you're just jealous and malicious. Whether the child is mine or not, Sophie doesn't deserve this treatment. It was like a slap to Madison's face. She stumbled backward and lunged at me with her hand raised, but Ethan caught her wrist instantly. If you hurt Sophie or the baby, I'll make sure your family regrets it. His tone left no room for argument. Madison finally realized she'd gone too far and fled in tears. After she left, Ethan gently took my hand. I'm sorry you had to go through that. No matter what the results say, I won't let anyone harm you again. My heart skipped. Even my little milk dumpling seemed amazed. Did Dad just basically confess? Mom, you're winning. That evening, I lay in the hospital bed, unable to sleep. Tomorrow, the results would be revealed. Though I knew the baby was Ethan's, nerves still gnawed at me. My daughter nudged gently. Don't worry, Mom. Tomorrow's going to be a good day. Trust me. I smiled and stroked my belly. With such a clever daughter, how could I possibly lose? When I woke, the first thing I saw was Ethan's guilty face hovering above me. Seeing me stir, He immediately forgot all his usual restraint and grabbed my hand. How are you feeling? Does anything hurt? I'll call the doctor right away. I shook my head, instinctively glancing at my belly. Good, my little milk dumpling was safe. She nudged me energetically from inside. Mommy, sorry, that last kick was way too strong. Knocked you out for 2 whole days. You didn't see Dad in action, but I did. His concern was non-stop. So much happened while you were out. While my daughter muttered, Ethan explained. The paternity test results came in this morning. Our entire family went to the facility to open them together. My stomach dropped. Anxiety clenched me tight. Mrs. Ashford arrived just then, pushing open the door. I said from the start, there was no reason to doubt Sophie. Making her and the baby suffer was pointless. She beamed at me, stroking my forehead like a mother. The test confirms the child is an Ashford, and there's a very high chance it's a girl. I blinked, stunned. An entire building? My little milk dumpling could live in comfort, collecting rent, and I'd benefit too. My blood pressure nearly spiked at the thought. From inside, my daughter teased. Pathetic mom, almost fainted over one building. Wait until Grandpa and Grandma give me satellites. I swallowed hard and forced a smile. Mrs. Ashford, I don't know how to thank you for giving my child such a wonderful life. As her mother, I'll never forget this. Even Ethan couldn't hide a smile as he watched me bow shyly. When I tried to withdraw my hand, he held it tighter without hesitation. Mrs. Ashford patted our hands. We're family now. Don't be so formal. Family? I thought. No more $100 million bribe? You carrying my son's child is fate. The bond between you and the Ashfords is deeper than anyone realizes. I felt my ears burn at the subtle implication. Just as the room felt warm with this newfound closeness, the door slammed open. An elderly man strode in with bodyguards. Madison Pierce at his side, furious. Mrs. Ashford, you're confused. This woman's parents are just farmers. She has no right to enter the Ashford family. He turned proudly to Madison. My granddaughter is the rightful match for Ethan. If you insist on keeping this woman, all cooperation between our families ends today. My little milk dumpling scoffed. This childhood sweetheart is unbelievable, acting high and mighty, trying to manipulate Dad. Now she's back, scheming to frame Mom, and even dragging her grandfather into it. Does she think Dad will fold? The more she rages, the more he sees her true colors. Grandpa and Grandma aren't pushovers. Threats of ending cooperation are laughable. Hearing her, my fear melted away. Indeed, Mrs. Ashford was formidable, and Ethan never tolerated nonsense. Madison bringing her grandfather only hastened the collapse of her own schemes. I huddled under the blanket, peeking at the unfolding drama. Ethan's face darkened as he realized what I must be feeling. Who let you in uninvited? You scared Sophie and the baby. The bodyguards rushed forward, apologizing. Mr. Ashford, they said they were your fiancé and business partners. Ethan's fury blazed. I'll say it again. Sophie Sullivan is the Ashford family's top priority. Anyone harassing her will be detained immediately. Grandfather Pierce and Madison's protests fell flat. Ethan ignored them entirely. My safety and position in the family were non-negotiable. Mrs. Ashford nodded approvingly. Madison fumed. Ethan Ashford, what spell did she cast on you? We've been friends for generations. I've known you 15 years. Does that mean less than this country bumpkin? I finally spoke, my voice firm. My parents and I work hard for everything we have. Farming isn't shameful. Being poor isn't shameful. Looking down on honest people is. Ethan's expression softened into a smile at my courage. Madison's face twisted with fury as she realized he was impressed by me. Ethan Ashford, you liar. You said you'd wait for me forever. Ethan looked at her with disgust. Madison Pierce, did you ever respect me? No, you only liked being pursued. I'm done with your games. Discovering your true self only brings disgust. Leave quietly before I truly lose patience. Mrs. Ashford stepped forward decisively. Madison Pierce, using a fake paternity test to slander Sophie, was unforgivable. You're unreasonable, arrogant, and cruel, not suitable for my son. I do not approve of this marriage. And if your family wants to cancel cooperation, fine. Others are waiting to take your place. Show them out. Do not disturb my son and daughter-in-law. Daughter-in-law? My face flushed as I froze. My little milk dumpling cheered from inside. Mom didn't get the groveling I wanted. but she just got mother-in-law approval. My kick was worth it. Before I could even process it, Ethan had produced a ring, sincerity shining in his eyes. I used to think I only needed the child, not you, he admitted. But spending these days with you, picking you up after exercise, accompanying you to appointments, cooking and sharing meals, has shown me something I've never felt before. He hesitated for just a second, cheeks flushed. That day, seeing those photos and agreeing to the paternity test, I realized I was jealous. I thought you might have been with other men. His gaze was steady, unwavering despite the redness of his face. Making you suffer was entirely my fault. I want to give you the rightful place as my wife, so I can protect you properly from now on. Will you accept? These real-life billionaire romances are surprisingly polite and respectful. I should have been scheming to secure my position, but Ethan didn't wait for me to ask. I nodded shyly. In the next instant, he slipped the ring onto my finger eagerly. Almost immediately, Mrs. Ashford made a grand announcement. Her son was engaged, and the Ashford family would soon welcome their first naturally born little princess. Mr. Richard Ashford paused his overseas business to personally oversee the wedding, promising to wait until our daughter's arrival before returning abroad. Grandfather William Ashford devoted himself entirely to planning gifts for his great-granddaughter, consulting with Ethan daily. But just a few peaceful days later, the internet exploded with news about my background. Media outlets flooded my hometown, taking secret photos of my parents working on the farm, mocking me as a country girl who rose by unfair means. Though I was 8 months pregnant, Ethan had already arranged for my parents to come stay with us. I ran into their arms, sobbing apologies. They only smiled, full of warmth. Sweetie, farming honestly isn't shameful. Don't cry. Mom and Dad will give you a red envelope so you can be the most beautiful bride. Their kindness impressed the entire Ashford family. Mr. Richard Ashford immediately took action, shutting down and suing the accounts violating my privacy, exposing the culprit. Unsurprisingly, it was Madison Pierce again. This time, she had angered the Ashfords. Ethan led the charge against her family, warning, "If you cause any more trouble, I won't hesitate to bankrupt the Pierce family." Overnight, I became the legendary daughter-in-law envied across elite circles. The farm girl actually pulled off a rags-to-riches transformation. She's Mrs. Ashford now. Not sure what method she used, but even 8 months pregnant, she looks healthy, poised, and radiant. Rarely see such balance. Of course, despite being 8 months along, my little milk dumpling and I maintained our routine, exercising and eating right every day. I also enrolled in finance courses, preparing to help my daughter one day manage the Ashford empire. Mrs. Ashford was so impressed that she announced I would take on a managerial role after postpartum recovery. On the day we signed our marriage license and I donned my wedding dress, I nervously gripped Ethan's hand. What if someone sneaks in and switches our baby? Ethan chuckled at my imagination. Then I'll hire 50 bodyguards. No one, not even a fly, will get near her. My daughter, and I breathed a sigh of relief. The evil nanny who had tried to interfere was long gone. Even now, with comfort and power secured, I knew one truth: vigilance and effort never end. My little milk dumpling and I would face whatever challenges came next together.